Welcome to today's episode of the J&J podcast. I'm Jamie.
This is Jameson.
We want to welcome all of our listeners in. Um, on tap for today, obviously, it is March Madness, and even in just the selection, the selections there was madness, and now there are people who are mad about some of these selections, which of course happens every year. So we're going to jump right in. That's going to be our first topic for today, first on tap for today, college basketball. And Jameson, I'm going to pose a question to you
Okay.
because our listeners know we are Tar Heel faithful.
hmm
Should UNC have made it into the tourney?
No bias included in this. I think no. No, honestly. And you're going to be shocked by my answer. I think no. And the reason why I say that is I just look at it like this. If you take away the fact that, the North Carolina brand and just say, like, for example, I tell you the school is Rice and I show you the resume that Carolina has this year, that's not a tournament team, unfortunately. Because we're 1-12 against quad one teams, excuse me. That's not good. And I will say what's also hurt Carolina is this year, it's like we don't have any notable wins. Like we've been in close games, just like this past Friday. We're down 24 points, came all the way back, made it a game against Duke, but we lost to Duke without the best player in the country being on the floor. And it's kind of disheartening to see. We talked about it throughout the past couple of months throughout the Carolina basketball season. It's like for us to have such high expectations coming into the season. Like I remember we keep alluding back to this game, but like when Kansas was ranked number one, we literally went from competing with them. I remember we played Auburn in the Maui Invitational. Like we made that a game with them early on in the season. To go from that to losing to Stanford and just having all these losses, it just doesn't bode well. And then I will say one thing. I mean, I'll give Carolina this. They did play good, to end off the season. I know they went 8-1. Like they had won 8 out of their last 9 games before they ended up playing Duke in the ACC tournament. So they were clicking, but the difference is people got to realize about the tournament and the selection committee. They don't take what you do for the last month into account. Really, they've always discussed that now with the new rule change in the like selection process. So if you take away what Carolina did the last month of the season, like 3 to 4 weeks, it's like we genuinely, in my opinion, did not deserve to be a tournament team. However, this is where some of the USC bias is going to come into play. Here's what for people that say that we shouldn't have made the tournament. It's like, what other team would you want in there then? Because here's how I look at it. It's like, would you rather see one of these teams that's on the bubble, like first 4 out teams, that really doesn't have any notable players, just decent program, or would you rather see North Carolina, the UNC Tar Heel brand on display during March Madness? It's like you also have to look at it from a marketing perspective for the NCAA. Like they're gonna want UNC to be playing basketball. We have a lot of names like R.J. Davis, Ian Jackson, Elliot Cadeau, Drake Powell. We have names compared to some of these other schools, and it's just the Carolina brand. All the fans, all the viewership that's going to come along with that. I mean, that's also, I feel like, what people have to realize. So, to answer your original question, I don't think we should have actually made the tournament, but Lord knows I'm glad we did because I know we were talking about this on Friday. I would have felt really bad for R.J. Davis if he would have had to go out like that because somebody just decided to step over the line at the end of the game. You get what
I'm
I'm
not going to
saying?
let you get away with that either.
Yeah. So, but like I will say this, I'm also happy that RJ Davis gets to play, at least one more game of basketball, hopefully more so than that. And then my thing is for Jalen Withers too. Like I'm gonna go and say his name. Hopefully this gives him a chance to somewhat redeem himself because, me and you were talking about this over the weekend. We live in like a today world when it comes to news and headlines. Like everybody was bashing Jalen Withers on Friday, Saturday, and then now like no one's even talking about that situation anymore. So hopefully he can bounce back and be productive so we can beat San Diego State tonight. But your thoughts? I feel like we're gonna have varying opinions on this question, but I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah. So I'm trying to take bias out, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to. And for this discussion, I'm going to because I agree. You can make an argument that Carolina shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
Um, there are lots of West Virginia folks who are upset saying West Virginia should have been in over Carolina. It's not Carolina West Virginia should be upset about. It's Xavier
Yep.
that West Virginia should be upset about. See, here's the thing about all this talk about quad one wins and quad two, quad four. During the course of a season, a team that you play can switch within a week from being a quad one to a quad two.
That's a good point.
Uh, I mean, it happens literally during the course of the tournament. So I get it. Carolina played some really, really tough teams at the front of their schedule. It was loaded. A lot of teams that were ranked. A lot of teams that we stayed in on those games. And if not for a bad bounce here or there, or just a little bit better defense, they could have had some of those. And I'm using air quotes now. Quad one. Last year and the year before, net rating was what everybody was talking about. It wasn't necessarily about quads. Of course, they introduced that, and it's been part of the formula for determining, which teams get in. But do you realize that if we also include net ratings, Carolina has a net rating of 36. Texas, who is also in, has a net rating of 39. Xavier, who is in, has a net rating of 46. So West Virginia, who is not in, has a net rating of 51. So I'm just trying to understand, when people say, well, they're 1-12 against quad one teams, when did those teams become quad one? Like during the course of the season, when did that happen? And when did you just look at their net rating and say, yeah, that doesn't matter either?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of teams, it does matter how you're playing down the stretch. And the committee looks at sometimes, what have you done for me lately? To quote Janet Jackson. So, from my perspective, yeah, we were fortunate to get in. I don't think that there was any backdoor dealings to get Carolina in or anything like that. And here's the ultimate test. And I'm just gonna say it. They need to win. They need to beat San Diego State. Because
Facts.
I think that will quiet the noise. If they don't beat San Diego State,
Oh, it's
then
bad.
it's bad. It's going to be, well, see, we told you they should have
Yep.
never gotten in. So, from my perspective, they need to actually win tonight. And I think that will help quiet some of the noise because this team has just been up and down. There's not a lot of leadership on this team.
No.
And back to your point about Jalen Withers, because you're right. It is we're in a microwave society
Yeah.
where literally what was news today, somebody's going to throw it in the microwave, something else in the microwave tomorrow, and that's going to be the news for the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So, because Seth Trimble, I think, made a very good point. It was one of the best interviews that I've heard after a team loses, and he talked about how I missed 3 free throws.
Van
We
Lubin missed the
don't
free throw before that. We wouldn't even have that
exactly
situation if he makes the first free throw.
if he makes the first free throw. If there had been some additional rebounds, he said we don't get here. We don't get to this game if it wasn't for the 7 3-pointers that Jalen Withers made
Facts.
previously. So again, there are lots of things that happen during the course of a basketball game, and sometimes we as fans focus on one mistake.
I agree.
Um, Isaiah Hicks will forever be known, unfortunately, as the dude who didn't get back on defense when Jenkins made that jump shot, or he didn't get
Facts.
back in time on defense. That wasn't that one play isn't the reason why Carolina lost
No.
that game.
Just like in the
It's
Duke
not.
game, we were down 24 points at one point. It's like that wasn't
Exactly.
Jalen Withers' fault.
No. And so and that's another point that you just made, Jameson. Being down to Duke, okay, again, we came out, lax, not playing well, but you come back, this team could have quit.
Yeah.
So I think that the committee looked at things like that as well. There's also, see, what blows my mind is some of these folks who pontificate about, they shouldn't have made it, this, that, and the other. They'll talk about the eye test when it's a team that they want to be in
Of
the
course.
tournament.
Because eye
You
test,
know,
like we've said all year, And it's actually going to lead into one of my questions. Well, I was going to ask you, do you think we actually beat San Diego State tonight? But Carolina's a team where outside of the bigs, we match up with pretty much any team in the country. It's just when you start playing teams like Florida, then that just have flat out bigs, we're at a disadvantage. But the,
Yes.
the concern for Carolina I've always had throughout the entire season is, can we hit perimeter shots? Because that was part of the problem against Duke. Knoble, whatever his last name, that brother was shooting.
Nipple.
Yeah, that brother was shooting like Kyle Korver against us. And then the only person that hit a three for us was Elliot Cadeau, which is saying a lot because Elliot Cadeau is shooting 19% from three this year. Now, so when that dude is the only person on your team that's hitting threes, you're not gonna win basketball games, and that's my only
Yeah.
concern for Carolina. Is like a lot of the games that we've lost, we get outshot from three, and then we also get out rebounded because of our lack of production
Lack
at the
of
center
size.
spot. Exactly,
Yeah.
lack of size. So, like here's my prediction for tonight. I think we come out we come out playing aggressive to start off, and we actually beat San Diego State. To your point, it's kind of a must-win game.
Yes.
Of course, I mean, on both fronts, it's like you have to actually win to get in, first off, because we're technically not a part of the 64 right now. Like, we have
Correct.
to win this game to then be a part of the 64 team bracket. But on top of that, like, we need to win this game to also silence the critics and the doubters. But
Agreed.
my only concern is because who's the team we play if we win this game?
Ole Miss.
Yeah, Ole Miss. And that's the thing. It's like if you can't hit threes against Ole Miss, that's bad ball.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
that game will be over at halftime.
Yeah. That team plays a physical brand of basketball. They bring it.
Yeah.
So this is one of those where you gotta, strap in the boots,
Yep.
get your lunch pail, and that's that old school
Yep.
saying.
Yeah, that's the
Grab
old
your
school.
lunch pail, and
Get
you
to
really
work.
gotta strap up
Yep.
and get to work. It's
Mhm.
like seriously, that's the other one. Bring your hard hat. We got all those cliches.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, I mean I agree. So back to your point about us. Well, see,
Yeah, us, yeah.
UNC versus San Diego State. I agree with you. I think we come out. My prediction is that we win that game, and I hopefully we win it going away. I
Me
don't know
too.
that that's going to be the case, but hopefully we win it going away, and then we get prepared and say this is really an opportunity. We got in. Now let's make the most of it.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see
I agree.
if that happens. So let's shift a little bit since we're already on the subject of teams and what some predictions are going to be. What teams do you think will or can win it all? And I know who I think can win it all. And I'll save mine, but let's talk a little bit about, or you give me your input on who you think will or can win it all.
Well, I'll tell you my personal pick. My personal pick is Florida. Just watching them play, it's just their backcourt is absolutely insane. They play good defense. They can knock down shots. And then I just think their advantage is going to be when the game slows down and you have to dump the ball down and get a bucket. They have literally like probably the best front court big duo you can have in all of college basketball right now. They have size, they can rebound, they have soft touch around the rim. And then a lot of times what people realize, got to remember about March Madness is when the game slows down like that, you have to be able to have an inside-out game. So they already have the pick-and-roll game. They have shooters that can space the floor. But when you have that inside-out game, it's very hard to beat a team like that. I mean, Florida, absolutely mopped the floor with Tennessee. And Tennessee was a team that, is another team I think could potentially, try to win it all. But they waxed them in their conference tournament. I know that game looked a lot closer, but if you actually watch that game, it's like they had their way with Tennessee. And here's what I'm going to say, too. There's two other teams. The other team I think that could potentially win it all is just they have to have things go their way, and I'm going to explain that further, is Houston. Because Houston, all they rely on is shooting threes. So that's the thing. If they're hitting threes, they're not losing. Them brothers come down pulling from 40. It reminds me of the Warriors when Kevin Durant was there.
I was about to say they remind me of the Warriors.
Yeah, they shoot at a very high clip, but when they're making shots, there have been games where they've shot over 50% from three on 40 something attempts. It's like if they're shooting like that, they're not losing a game in that tournament. But the problem is going to be when they have those games where they're not hitting threes, it's like where's that other offense going to be generated from? So that's my only concern about Houston. It's like they're a very streaky team, but if they have it going, they're not losing. I think they can win it all. And you're gonna hate this last team I'm gonna say,
I know.
but and I hate to say it, but I think Duke can win it all. But here's the thing about Duke come tournament time. Duke's either going to be in the national championship game or they're going to be home watching the games with us after the first round. There's no in between. And the reason why I said they can win it all is it's just they have size. Their bigs are absolutely ridiculous. I can't remember that African kid's name, the center. That brother is special. I think he's going to be a top 5 draft pick whenever he comes out. Comes out of college basketball first off, but then it's like they play good defense, they communicate, and they have the best basketball player in the country right now in all of college basketball, Cooper Flag. So it's just like, a lot of times tournament time, there are going to be games where you just have to give the ball to your best player and let them produce. And it's like Cooper Flag can not only go get you a bucket on offense, but he's also one of the best defenders in the country, at his size. So I hate to say it, but I think Duke can win it all. They have good depth. They play well together. Even somebody like Isaiah Evans can be like huge for them come tournament time. I think I hate to say it being a Carolina diehard fan, but I think Duke can win it all. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I was not. I wasn't paying attention to. I think his name is Kaman Maluk.
Yeah. Appreciate
that. He's from listen, again, another one of those South Sudanese.
Yep. They different.
Do you when we were talking about the Olympics?
Yep.
And I was like, man, South Sudan. Whew.
That's why the Team USA almost lost to them.
Exactly. So Hubert Davis, Jim Tanner, you better listen.
Get those passports ready, baby.
Get those passports ready.
Download Duolingo, baby.
Absolutely. I mean, come on, man. So so we have similar teams, but I'm still going to say Auburn.
Yeah. See,
Auburn
I want to throw
flaws.
them in there, but they're just so iffy for me, man.
Yeah, they're flawed. But what I do know, and I'm not a fan of his at all. But I do know that Bruce Pearl,
he's funny.
He's still, but I'm not a fan.
Oh, I know. Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. But and he is funny because he just reminds me of a dude in a mafia movie.
He's honestly like he reminds. I put him in that same category as I do like Tom Izzo. It's like no matter what type of regular season they have, he's always ready come tournament time.
And that's my point.
Yeah,
I think he'll have them because they lost 3 out of 4 cut down the stretch. But they were still the number 1 overall because they beat so many good teams.
Yes,
and they weren't just beating teams; they were destroying teams.
I agree.
So I think he'll have them focused. The team that'll beat Auburn is Auburn. They'll beat themselves.
Facts.
Because they can lose focus from time to time. But I think he'll have them focused. Unfortunately, I have to agree with you about Duke because they have size. Evans would be a starter on any other team.
I wish we had him on Carolina.
Thank you. I mean, he reminds me. Listen, it's another one of those Brandon Ingram situations. Like this dude is from Fayetteville. Like,
what makes it worse is like I told you, him and Drake Powell played at the same high school.
I know.
I'm like Hubert Davis, whoever was there scouting. I'm like, did you not like? Do you see the screens I'm saying? Like, did you?
What more do y'all want?
I'm like, how did you not? You remember even when we went to that holiday tournament to John Wall, he was there, like shooting the ball crazy. I'm like, how did we let that happen?
Yeah, I mean, because I guess what the thought process was, because Drake Powell was obviously higher ranked, and the thought process was, well, we're gonna get Drake. I'm like, no,
get both
of them.
Yeah,
hello.
They already have familiarity with each other. It's like they messed that up bad. Yeah, and he's from Charlotte.
We missed that one.
You messed that up terribly.
Did I say Fayetteville? I thought he was from Fayetteville.
No, he's from Charlotte. He's North Carolina, close enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So, bottom line is, Duke. Yes, Duke can win it all. Knipple is. I mean, I'm like tired of them always getting that kind of dude.
I know he's tough, man.
He's tough. And then now I will say this: Tyrese Proctor has to be more consistent.
I agree. But
Um,
when he's knocking out perimeter shots, they don't
they're
lose.
unbeatable.
Yeah, they don't
I'm
lose.
just gonna say it. I have to be honest about that. If he's knocking down perimeter
Yeah,
shots,
it's
they are
raps.
hard to beat. It's a wrap,
Yeah.
absolutely. But here's my actual pick. It's Houston.
Wow. Okay, I
It,
like it.
it's Houston. Listen, I've watched maybe two prior to the tournament,
Yeah.
their tournament. I'd watched Houston play a couple of times, but then I watched them in their conference tournament. I was like, yeah. Um,
Told you,
and
man.
I, and to your point, if they're not hitting perimeter shots, that could be an issue.
Hmm.
But I haven't seen many games where they're not.
Yep.
Even when they're shooting, 40%. Like the game can be over with Houston at halftime. Remember how the Golden State would play? They come out and just it'd be a barrage,
Yep.
and then you're debilitated at that point.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm telling you, Houston gets up shots like a frat girl. No, true. I'm telling you, they
like
get
a frat girl at East
they
Carolina.
get their shots up, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So exactly. So I actually have Houston winning the whole thing.
I like it.
I'm listen, I'm a Kelvin Sampson fan,
Mm-hmm.
and there's actually some connection there because he's from Pembroke.
Yep.
Went to Pembroke. I think it was then called Pembroke State,
Yeah.
which is now UNC Pembroke.
I'm rooting for him.
Um, I met his brother at an
Yes, sir.
event in Lumberton.
Yeah.
And I was looking at him across the room and I was like, man, that looks like Kevin Sampson.
And then,
And
yep.
started talking to some folks who were around me and they were like, yeah, that's his brother. So, he's from, North Carolina, from right outside of the Lumberton area. I think it's Laurinburg specifically.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a Kevin Sampson fan.
He
And I
deserves to
think
get one too, because the
he
last couple of
does.
years they're always so close.
That's right. And that's what I was gonna say. Like, I feel like this is his year. I really do.
I hope so.
And I hope it is. But that's gonna be my pick this year. It again won't surprise me if Duke or Auburn. And I understand what you were saying about Florida because man, that was impressive what they did to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because Rick Barnes, again, I have history with him too because he felt the need to yell at Dean Smith.
Yeah.
We never forget that. I've
Mhm.
never forgotten that.
Yeah.
But Rick Barnes has his teams well prepared, and I was impressed with what Florida did. But if I had to put it in any given order, it's going to be Houston, Auburn, then Duke. And I think any of the three could potentially do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn still pulls it out
I
at the
agree.
end. Well, look, let's shift since we're talking. We're still on the topic of basketball. Let's shift to the NBA because, you know, Austin Reeves.
I've been trying to tell you, man.
No. And listen, you and I've been saying this.
Yeah.
But we talked. I think it was on the last podcast. It might have been the one before. That Austin Reeves is the first third option on any team, and on some teams he would not actually be the second option. He's the best third option on a basketball team that there is, and he's been proving it with LeBron being out. Last night was incredible. Like
Yep.
it was a thing of beauty. It was beautiful to watch. It was poetry in motion. And his handles, we've been talking about it for a minute, but his handles have gotten even better.
Yep.
So I'm gonna let you talk about it for a bit because I know you're a big fan. And everybody else is finally catching up. Stephen A. and I think Kendrick Perkins were talking about him, and I was like, where have y'all been?
Yeah.
Like, we've known this for a couple of years now. Y'all just got caught on
Yep.
because Luka's there. So, your thoughts about that?
No, I'll be honest. I'm not shocked by what Austin Reeves doing. And I've said this for the longest. He has the best contract right now in all of basketball. He's making $17 million a year, and he's young. And we still have him locked up for the next. I think we'll have to pay him after next season. And trust me, he's gonna get a bag.
That's a steal.
I know.
I mean, it's
that
$17 million, but that is an actual steal.
to put it into perspective, he's giving 4 times the production that Bradley Beal makes. Bradley Beal is making $52 million right now. So Austin Reeves is making a third of what he's making, giving 4 times the production. Just to put that into perspective. And what I love about Austin Reeves is, man, and I remember we talked about this on one of the podcast episodes whenever the Luka trade got announced. He can also play off the ball. Like,
Yeah.
Like it's very rare to be able to have the ball in your hands that much, be able to create for others, get your own shot, and then also be able to adjust your game and still be as productive off the ball. Like Austin Reed, prime example was this past week whenever we almost beat the Nuggets without Luka and LeBron. Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect had a masterclass. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't seen white boys hooping like that since Hoosiers. You get what I'm saying? Like it was absolutely insane.
White man can't jump.
So I'm saying, like, it was absolutely outrageous. But then think about it. He had that performance. Then on Sunday, plays just as well with Luka being back in the lineup, playing off the ball. So that's what I love about Austin Reeves' game. It's also too, like, I can just tell his confidence grows every single game. And on top of that, what I love is like we've always talked about this. Giannis is one of those that's like every year you can tell Giannis adds something to his game in the offseason. Like Austin Reeves has gotten better every single season so far. He's been in the NBA. So that's what I really love about his game. And it's just like he just complements Luka, LeBron well. Whatever lineup he's in, he can play off the ball. If you need him to just run the offense when LeBron and Luka aren't on the floor, he can do that as well. And I know JJ Redick loves him, and it's like that's why I'm so glad, like, because he was always rumored to be in trades. I'm so glad we didn't trade him. Like I would have been upset if we traded him. And here's what I'm gonna say about the Lakers: the biggest X factor on that team has been Jackson Hayes because.
Hey, before you listen, I just want to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
And then you can finish your thought.
No, you're good.
I think because of Luka being on this team,
oh yeah,
Jackson Hayes is now our starting center, and
I'm telling you now because his contract is up this offseason. He's gonna get paid because what's gonna happen. There are gonna be teams that try to pry him away from the Lakers. I know that for a fact. Seeing the way he plays with Luka, like he's the type of player that would also excel with like a LaMelo. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like he's just a perfect lob threat. That's why it's like we've been talking about this. They asked Jackson Hayes what's one player you would love to play with, and he said Luka Doncic because he probably like we have always alluded to. He probably saw what he was doing with Gafford and Lively and was like, that's me. You know what I'm saying? So like I saw even that game on Sunday against the Suns. Jackson Hayes shot 90% from the field. That was like the easiest 20 points I've ever seen in my life. He was catching lobs, just rolling, playing hard, playing good defense. It's like, Dad, that was without LeBron even being on the floor. Like, all that attention that Luka draws and stuff like that, I'm like, he's even going to continue to be even better when LeBron's on the floor as well. It's like, it's insane.
Imagine if he, and I mean, listen, I think that the Lakers secure him and you go sign a legitimate backup big.
Facts.
Because Alex Len is a 7-footer who shoots floaters.
He stinks.
I'm sorry. I know we needed to get a roster spot and we needed a big, but I've never listen, a 7-footer shooting floaters. Come on, man. What in the world?
What's frustrating is I'm seeing the numbers that Armando Bacot's putting up in the G League, and I'm like, we could have just signed him. Alex Len stinks. That brother sucks.
Alex Len stinks. Like he
sucks.
Terrible. I saw that. I'm just gonna say it one more time. I saw that dude shoot a floater, and it's not because there was somebody who was 7'5" in front of him. He shot a floater because that's part of his game, and he felt like that's what he should do. You're 7 feet tall.
Just
Dunk
like
the ball.
That game against the Bucks last week, I remember there was a fast break. Luka threw him a pass, and he tried to lay it up, and it got sent to Yucatan. And I remember Reggie Miller was like, Alex Len, like, brother, you have to dunk that. Like, you're 7'1", bro. Like, it's just unacceptable, dog.
It's completely unacceptable. So, but back to your point, I think that the Lakers secure him. I think they lock him up. I agree with you. He's looked at Gafford, Lively. They said, he told Luka once Luka arrived, if there was one dude that I wanted to play with, it was you. So I think that you secure him, lock him in, go get a legitimate backup center. And I mean, look, Armando Bacot is right there.
Yep.
Come on, man. And that isn't Carolina bias. That's just honestly common sense. That's logic.
Yep.
That dude is killing it in the G League. And God knows he'd be better than Alex Len. Alex Len is 7'1" and can't even secure 5 rebounds in the time that he played. Make that make sense. I mean, make that make sense. I just don't understand it. So, crabs in a bucket. The shirt I wear is Untuck It. Nantucket. Lakers in 5.
I got an even better one for you. Oklahoma City Thunder, Jay Cutler, Jimmy Butler, Confessions by Usher. Lakers in 5.
I like what you did there. I like what you did there. I love it. I
From dawn
love it.
till dusk, Elon Musk, Elephant Tusk. Lakers in 5.
Lakers at 5. Oh gosh. Oh, okay. Let's move on. So the Warriors, and we'll make these last two topics kind of rapid
Okay.
fire. Um, the Warriors, leading up until last night, I was like, man,
Yeah.
teams need to be really, really careful. However, what in the world where was this Aaron Gordon? Like,
Oh, no.
my God, who are you and what did you do with Aaron Gordon? Like, this dude was doing fall away one leg Dirk Nowitzki
Yeah, I don't
jump
know
shots
what got into that, brother.
on
I
the
ain't
baseline.
never ever seen you out
I
like
ain't
this before.
never ever. Exactly. So, can the Warriors win it all? That was going to be my question. If they play the Nuggets, the answer is no.
Well, here's what I'm
Apparently.
gonna say too about the Warriors.
Okay.
And Jimmy Butler's been a great addition for that team, but look, they haven't played anybody. Like even that stretch where they were winning games, like they weren't playing any of these top teams like the Thunder, the Cavs, the Lakers,
Yes.
the Celtics. Like they weren't playing any of those type of teams. They were beating teams like the Kings. So it's like,
Yeah.
and you saw even last night. They played the Nuggets. The Nuggets didn't have Jamal Murray nor Nikola
Or Jokic.
Jokic.
Yes.
And you lose, that's a bad loss. And what was nerve wracking for the Warriors right now is there's still over 10 games left in the NBA season, and they're in the 6th spot. Like they need to stay above. They need to stay in the 6th spot or higher, or they're going to be in the play-in. Like
That's right.
and I'm telling you, Steph just turned 37. Like, trust me, I think Steph Curry can play at least another 2 to 3 seasons and be very productive. His game is not predicated on athleticism. But at
Right.
the same token, what people got to realize about Steph is Steph also plays and runs around and moves around the entire time he's playing a basketball game. Whether he has the ball in his hand, he's running off screens, trying to get open. Like, Steph exerts a lot of energy. And I feel like Steve Kerr was even talking about it after a game. He's like, Stephen Curry's tired. And think about it. Jimmy Butler's good, but this is not the same Jimmy Butler that carried the Heat to the finals against the Lakers, nor whenever he carried them against the Nuggets. Like that's not that same Jimmy Butler. He's a good complementary piece to be able to play with Steph and Draymond. And here's what I'm gonna say too: this offseason, the Warriors are gonna have to go out there and get some more shooters because last night when Steph didn't have it going, nobody else could hit perimeter shots. Like they were daring Draymond Green to shoot, and I always call him Jansport. So it's like if you're sitting there relying on Jonathan Kuminga and Draymond Green to hit perimeter shots for you to win games, you're not gonna win games, unfortunately. So can the Warriors win it all? I mean, if things go their way, I don't. Here's my answer. I don't think they can win it all. I think they can give teams a tough series. I don't think they can win it all, though. I just think Steph has had to exert so much energy this season leading up to the Jimmy Butler trade, and they just don't have enough pieces, in my opinion. And what hurts them is they keep trying to play small ball. Like, the small ball recipe works for the Lakers because we have Luka and LeBron. It's like when Draymond's your 5 and he can't stretch the floor consistently, it messes up the spacing. And when Steph's not hitting shots, who else is going to hit shots for that team? That's the problem. So, can the Warriors win it all? I don't think so. And I think last night proved that. Because I know people are saying, oh, that might have just been a fluke. I'm like, bruh, fluke or not, you should not lose to the Denver Nuggets with no Jokic, no Jamal Murray. They didn't even have Christian Brown, and they still lost. That's unacceptable.
Listen, Russell Westbrook looked like he was back in Oklahoma City.
Yep.
Aaron
I got to
Gordon
give a
looked like
shout
he
out
was
to him, too, because ever since, he was really good because, well, I'm not even going to talk about the time he was in LA. That feels like a distant memory to me at this point. But
let's keep it that way.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook was very productive for the Clippers, but he's taking it to a whole nother level with the Nuggets. He's been a perfect fit for that team. He's their glue guy right now, in my opinion.
I agree. Would you consider? I mean, given how the Nuggets played last night, are they a threat? And
yes.
The answer to that, of course, you got Jokic, you got Murray. It's according to which Murray shows up. But
Facts.
if
Well,
and we
here's
know
what I'm
that
gonna
Aaron
say:
Gordon is
the Nuggets are a threat when they play the Lakers because Jamal Murray don't play like this against any other team.
agreed.
Anytime he plays against the Lakers, he gets Michael's secret stuff. I'm telling you, it's
Well,
ridiculous.
well, here's the thing: Jokic nor Murray played last night. Don't they play the Lakers in a day or two?
They do. And then
Yeah,
also too, what nobody's talking about the Nuggets is they'll beat the Warriors last night without Jokic and Murray, but then they'll lose to the Wizards like
true.
couple nights before that. So it's like, but here's my thing: the Nuggets are a threat, and here's the edge I'm gonna give them. They have playoff experience.
Yep.
Jokic and Murray have been there. It's like they've been there. Aaron Gordon's been there now a couple years. Christian Brown is stepping it, getting falling into his own. Russell Westbrook has numerous years of playoff experience, and so it's like they're always going to be a threat. Do I see the Nuggets going that far, depending on their matchups? No, because I think we can beat them this year. We've already proven that, and I think the Thunder can definitely beat them as well. They've proven that as well. But the Nuggets are always going to be a threat. They have a perennial MVP candidate and already a Hall of Fame center in Jokic, so they're always going to be a threat.
Okay, I agree. There's not a lot to add. The fact that they beat the Warriors without Murray
Yes,
and without,
it's nasty.
yeah, I mean Murray, Jokic,
And
and
Christian
Brown.
Brown, yeah.
Yeah, I mean so. All right, well we're gonna wrap up this episode with our usual moving the needle for this week. Jameson, what moved the needle for you
I'll
this
make
week?
it quick. Mine was the Unrivaled Basketball League, and I watched the championship game last night. Huge shout out to the Rose. Chelsea Gray, she was hooping, man. Like, I'm actually very happy for. Hopefully, she can carry that into the actual WNBA season. And the fact that they won without even having Angel Reese was insane to me. So, shout out to the Rose, and I think that was a huge success for Unrivaled for their first season. I enjoyed it.
I agree, and I hope they keep it up. Listen, learn even with the one-on-one tournament.
Yeah, that was
Um,
huge.
that was huge. Like NBA, pay attention.
Brianna
Like,
Stewart said they're already preparing for next season too, so it's coming back.
yeah,
So
I'm
I'm
glad.
excited for it.
Absolutely. Well, kind of sticking with that same theme, my moving the needle for this week are actually the NCAA women's um, tournament. Is the NCAA women's tournament?
I'm hyped for that,
I
man.
might be more excited for the NCAA women's tournament than I am the men's tournament this year. To
I
be honest,
definitely am. I've been saying that for months.
actually have, and now that it's here, it's actually come to fruition for me, and I'm looking at it like, yeah, I think I really am. I'm gonna be, and I will say this, I obviously have, again, we are Tar Heels, and shout out to Courtney Banghart. Tar Heels are number 3 seed. That's a big accomplishment,
Facts.
given what they lost and the way that she rebuilt that roster, and with all the injuries that the team suffered this year. Shout out to them. But ultimately, I'm going to say I don't know who the favorite really is. You
There's
know,
not. That's what I love about it.
right. There's always, Dawn Staley, South Carolina, USC this year, UConn, UCLA. I mean, there are lots and lots of teams that could
Notre
say that they
Dame.
have a legitimate chance. Notre Dame,
Yep.
absolutely. NC State.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of teams that can legitimately say that they have a chance. I do know who the top ones are, but those top ones this year are beatable because they have been beaten. So, that's my move in the needle. Any thoughts about that, James?
No, my top three, I can wholeheartedly agree with what you just said. My top three, I think that are going to win it all. It's going to be one of the threes, either UConn, USC, or South Carolina. But to your point, all three of those teams, more specifically USC, if Juju Watkins has a bad shooting night, they can lose in the second round. You get what I'm saying? Because like every team is good come tournament time. Like even some of the 10 seeds, I'm like they just have really good talent. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm so excited for it. It's like it's going to be very unpredictable. I think there's going to be actually a lot of upsets this year compared to years past. So I'm hyped for it.
I agree. That's what I'm thinking. I
Yes,
think there
sir.
will be more upsets this year in the women's bracket than normal.
Same.
There are a lot of good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, all right, that's going to wrap it for this week's podcast. We appreciate everybody listening in. We'll see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Peace.